Now I have to say that every year when I'm going on a break, I'm kind of reflecting on things that I've done in the channel, what was good, what's not so good, the techniques I've learned, you know. And cookware is one thing I'm always looking at. And one thing I've realized when you make tarts is why do we need to use always these circle shapes? When you make a quiche, you make a tart, when you go into the shop, all what you can find mostly is these circle things. But the puff pastry I'm using is a pre-made, pre-roll one. It's a rectangle. And when you try to fit a rectangle into a square, into a circle, it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit and you get lots of waste and offcuts. So I'm saying, I'm gonna go rogue with this. I'm tired of the circle, so I'm gonna put this away. And I went off, of course, try to buy a kind of a tin. I could not find the right rectangle size. And I think, you know, I'm gonna skip the whole thing together. We're gonna make our own kind of tin out of the pastry itself. I'm gonna have zero waste. And it works beautifully with puff pastry, that is. So for the filling, almond cream, apricot, it is the season here, so fresh one. You can also use apricot in syrup or pears in syrup that you have in any supermarket if it's not in season. So don't worry about that at all. The key here, what we're gonna start with is how to make the almond cream, as I said, because it is beautiful and so easy to make. Let's go. I'm still amazed that a lot of people on this planet don't know how to make the almond cream. And if you like almonds, really you need to print that recipe in your head because it is so versatile. I'm using it like this for tarts like this, with pears, with apricot, with other fruits. You can make some kind of a king cake with it. You can fill all kinds of pastry, even a cake. There's all kinds of things you can do. It is also very, very easy in terms of ingredients. Equal amount of sugar, ground almonds and butter mixed with almost the same amount of eggs. So here I'm using 100 grams. I put the equivalent on ounces on the screen. And I think that this is the sweet spot for, you know, something like for 4 to 6 people. Okay, so I've got 100 grams of sugar, 100 grams of ground almonds, 100 grams of butter, and then we're gonna use 80 grams of eggs here. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of flour because it makes the cooking of that almond cream way, way easier. Now, let's make it. And now let's make this almond cream. We're going to be using a medium-sized bowl, rubber spatula. I'm going to use a whisk, and one of the key things you need to remember, everything has to be at room temperature, including the eggs. Otherwise, it is not going to work. The butter, I've got it here, has to be softened. So when we say softened butter, there's always a misconception. You know, softened butter is when you use a spatula, you need to be able to cream it. So cream it, you know, it's almost like this. It can become almost into a paste. That is a little bit too hard to my taste. It's soft, but it's hard enough. So what I'm gonna do, what you can do in this case, you're gonna go, if you have a microwave, you can either wait at room temperature, or you can put this for like 5 seconds or something in the microwave just to soften it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you exactly what happened. So it was actually 8 seconds in the microwave, and now look, it is really like a paste. You see, I can cream it. So you can start with the spatula. You don't want to use the whisk straight off. And then I'm going to put all of the sugar in. And I'm going to start to mix everything together. Now, once it starts to be creamy, that's when you can start to use it. You can keep on using a spatula if you want. But if you want, see when it starts to be a cream like this, see how beautiful it becomes? Kind of nice, creamy mixture. Then you can turn and go. You know, and use the whisk. But what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to use the whisk right away. We're going to add the eggs because this is where things can go wrong, like as I told you. I've broken the 2 eggs and beat them into an omelette, and the weight was almost 100 grams. I only need 80. So this is why it's important to weigh the eggs first, so I can't be using everything. So what I do, like this, I'm going to put this much, and then I'm going to start to incorporate. Now just to start with, and if you want from here, you can start using a whisk. Because you see with the spatula what's going to happen, it's not super, super easy. Okay? So I'm going to spread this there. I'm going to use my whisk and slowly, you don't want to do it too much because otherwise you're going to incorporate kind of too much air in there. And you're going to slowly mix this. Now, if your eggs are cold, this is where the whole mixture is going to kind of split. You see, when I have the right temperature, I've got a nice ribbon. If you want, you can use powdered sugar as well. And from here, what do? You take all of the almonds that mix of almonds, and you mix it in. And that's it. That's all it takes to make that mixture. So if you want, you can keep the whisk, and you can go back to a spatula. That depends on you, how you like to do things, but So yeah, this is how it looks like. For the purists, okay, I'm gonna use a spatula just to show you how it looks like. This is the mixture. This is an almond cream. It is done. Now, my personal touch to this is the plain vanilla version that you have officially in some culinary school, but what I like to do here is to add a tablespoon of flour and mix it in, and it kind of creates a bit of a cake batter a little bit. But that's so much help with the cooking of that cream. And for home cooking, I'm telling you what, this is crucial. You don't want to butter and wait, in front of the oven thinking, oh, it's not cooking and stuff like that. So 1 tablespoon of flour, and boom, I'm gonna put this in the fridge, and I'm gonna take care of the apricots. And now for this lovely apricot. Now, the best is always when the fruits are in season. So here it is in season, it's apricot season. That's why I'm jumping on the opportunity, look at these, to buy some good apricots. But if you don't have the fresh one, don't worry, you can buy absolutely this apricot in syrup. And you can find them in like the fruit and vegetable section. Sometimes you get this in France, it's like these glass jars, and you've got these apricots in there, and you can absolutely use those. And you're going to use the same, you're going to halve them and then quarter them. So here what we're going to do, for a fresh one, we're just going to cut in half. And because I've tried before the half apricot in the other tart, I thought it was a bit too kind of big, so I'm going to prefer this, the quarters. I think quarters are pretty good. So I'm going to take all my apricots and I'm going to quarter them. Now, if you ask me how many apricots exactly do I need, it depends on the size, and it depends when you get them. It depends also on the size of the tart you want to make. So there's no real measurement. I will give you a rough estimate, in the video description, but really it is up to you. Some people like lots of apricots, some people like not too much, it's a personal decision. So I did say that I was going rogue a little bit. So what I'm doing, I'm using a rectangle, and this is a baking sheet. I'm putting a piece of baking paper on there, and I'm gonna take out the pastry. The pastry is like this. This is how it looks like. It's a roll, it's in plastic, and you have to unroll it, so very gently. You have to defreeze it before. And I'm just gonna roll it out first like that. So once it's there, of course you got the plastic, so I'm just gonna be very quick because it kind of melts away. Throw the plastic and just place it like this. So for the edges, very simple. You can start wherever you want. What I'm doing is the same as I did with my tomato tart. I'm taking all the edges. If you have a circle, you can do the same. And I'm gonna fold and make my little pan here, okay? And I'm gonna take this side as well. I don't want to be in front of the camera, but you get the gist. Up, 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 up. And I'm making my little shape. Next, what needs to happen is very simple. You're going to take your almond cream. You can use a spatula. I'm just using a metal spatula. And you're going to pour everything in the middle first. Now, if you think there is too much almond cream, think again, because there is never enough of that thing. You just have to spread. So be careful not to go too far. And you're just going to put it there. If you want, you can even tuck it under here, under the edges, but it's up to you. But the whole thing, just cover everything because we have to put the apricot on top there. And now it is apricot time. So you tend to put these, not the skin up, you tend to put them like that. You see they're quite large, even these kind of little quarters. I could have cut them even smaller. And this time I think I'm gonna make a tart with some apricots, but I think I want to leave some space for the almond cream, because at the end of the day, this is what you look for. Where's the almond cream? Where's the almond cream? Can I get some more? So as you can see, I did not put too many apricots, because sometimes if you put too many, it's really making a barrier and it prevents that almond cream to cook properly. So this is a new thing. I've tried before with plenty of apricots, but this time I'm not going to put as many. What you need to do though is to sprinkle sugar on apricots, because apricots, when you buy them fresh, they're never sweet enough. They get acidic very, very quickly in a tart. So fine sugar, and I'm putting sugar as well on the side of the pastry there. So here we have it. I've put the apricot this way because I want to slice the tart like this. It's going to be easy to serve, but if you want to put more apricot halves or whatever, you can do it. You don't have to do the exact same thing as me. What's important here, the little trick with the pastry, don't forget the sugar and the almond cream. And that's it. As you can see, not even a tartine. I'm going to put this in the oven 35 minutes. That's based on my oven. Again, it depends the performance on yours. Yours might take 30 or 40 minutes. Or what we're going to wait for is a good caramelization of the apricots and to make sure that the almond cream is well puffed and cooked. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the oven and then we'll share the result together. So here we are after 35 minutes. You can see that the whole thing is totally puffed up and the almond cream, look at this, is totally overflowed and covered my pastry and transforming into like a big almond slice. Now this version is the version with less apricot and more almond cream. But what I wanted to show you here is how well it cooks when you add the flour. And it's got that nice crispy texture, a bit like a cake. And if you don't put the flour, that can be a total different story. That can still look like uncooked everywhere. So flour is great. Of course, it looks a bit sad. This is the big problem. So in French bakeries, the big trick is what I've got here. It's about 3 tablespoons of apricot jam mixed with about 2 or 3 teaspoons or a tablespoon maximum of hot water. You can warm it up in the microwave. It has to be some kind of a syrupy kind of texture. And what you need to do when it's still hot, we're gonna brush our tart like this with plenty of that mixture. And we're gonna slowly paint over and create a shine, you see. And this is what is gonna transform your tart into a nice and shiny item, you know, that you have in France. You know, you get these on these bakery shelves, like, oh, look at this tarts and stuff. Looks beautiful. So especially on the apricots, and don't be shy and put plenty of it everywhere until it starts shining. So I'm all done, and as you can see, it looks already better. So what do I call this the slice? Because I'm using like a pizza slicer kind of thing. And now we can go in there and slice that thing open. And you're gonna have this easy, lazy, almondy kind of apricot slice. Let's have a bite. Ooh la la la, it does look good. You know what, I'm so glad I'm back in the kitchen. I've kind of missed this little moment, you know, like we do that kind of opening together. And oh, look at, you see the almond cream, look at this. It becomes, it's almost like a king cake. I love king cakes. Look at that. See that kind of layer of almond? It's soft. It's just about cooked under, but oh, let me try that. Oh. Mm. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yes. Look at that. The one apricot is just enough juice to really, you know, explode when you bite into it. It's just the one, but it's enough, otherwise it's overpowering. I think this is the right amount, actually. Now, just to show you to finish that puff pastry, pre-rolled, pre-made, but if you're in the, you know, in the business for like a crunchy, oh, look at that. Crunchy, layery, sweety, apricot-y thing. It's good. It's actually very good. Ooh, it feels good to be back in that tart. It's a good start. Now, let me warn you, you will be binging for sure if you make that thing, because, wow, I had difficulty to stop here. But I'm going to leave you with this delicious apricot-y picture, and I'll see you all next week where we're going to be talking about cookware, and I'm going to present some new pans that I bought, and we're going to discuss about the whole thing about cookware and what I think we've been approaching the buying of cookware the totally wrong way. But that's for next week. Take care all. Bye-bye.